My name's David Baker. I'm 60 and lived here on Tancook all my life.
Name is Seth. I am 15 and I'm from Chester, Nova Scotia.
What's your occupation? What are you doing?
Tourist counselor over here on Tancook.
Fisherman, mostly lobster fisherman.
I heard about it from one of my friends, William. He lives here and he knew I was looking for a job, so started coming over on the island more and more, learned about the job, and now I come down every day.
I'm the president of the Harbour Authority here on Tancook, which helps run our wharf, and member of the fire department, plus MFR here on the island.
Most people are retired, but some of them work with Terra, which is our fire, paramedics, and I think police here on the island. It's all volunteer.
We have our own part here on the island for our 911 system. When an emergency call goes into 911, we get deployed to the houses, usually deal with the patient till the paramedics come, or we end up transporting the patient to Chester. So I'm a part of that for the last 20 years or so.
What happens in case of an emergency where someone really needs to go to hospital?
Life flight, health pad over there. Life flight comes in from Halifax in under 5 minutes.
How do you guys manage resources like electricity, water, supplies?
Well, everybody has their own wells. For electricity comes here in a underwater cable. Goes from Blandford to Little Tancook, comes from Little Tancook from here. For disasters or anything like that, most people have a generator. The rec hall, which can be a comfort center, that has a generator too. Usually, sometimes the hurricanes here hit pretty bad, but everybody usually prepares. I'd say probably half the houses here on the island have generator systems. If we end up losing power, usually we're one of the last areas that gets their power back. So we've been out different times for like 5 and 6 days at a time.
There was a heavy downpour / flooding recently, so the roads held up pretty well, and so did the community. A lot of people had flooded basements, but they've all got it cleaned up. A lot of people go from their houses that were fine to people that weren't, and helped rebuild their basements. And although it's an island, it's fairly strong against downpouring and storms.
Everything's different here. There's a lot more involved, and you have to plan your grocery trips.
They either put an order through online, and every Tuesday the independent delivers it down to the wharf, or they go up sometime, go grocery shopping, and come back on a later ferry.
Like I say, it takes a different sort of person to rough and tough it out.
What's the main industry for the island?
It used to be sauerkraut, but I think only 2 people on the island still make it.
Fishing is probably the biggest industry on the island.
You would have to order sometime in October to get it during the summer of next year.
Right now we're only at 10 fishing boats, and 20 years ago we were probably at 27 fishing boats. So
people really like the way it's made here because it's been made the same.
Not too many kids following in their parents' footsteps and getting out of the fishing industry and going to university. And once I got my university degree, I thought I'd just take a year off and maybe go fishing for a year, and ended up sticking with it.
I'm not a fan of sauerkraut, but if it means keeping the island alive, I would definitely start making.
The summer we usually have off, so it's your time to relax, plus then you've got this responsibility of working at your gear and fixing up your boat, because as soon as the end of November comes until the 1st of June, you're committed pretty well every day. We did have a big sauerkraut industry years ago, which is like a pickled cabbage. You shred it and you put it in a brine with salt, and people use it in their hot dogs and all that sorts of thing. And it was big here on the island, but a few deer swam to the island here, and it got overpopulated that to put a garden in, you had to put a big fence around it and stuff like this here. So it was too much work and that industry died out. 200 to 300 deer here on the island. It's small, so you're limited to where you can hunt. A few get shot off every year, maybe 30, 40. We only have deer, rabbit, pheasants, snakes, mice, so no predators for the deer, yeah.
So like the kids here, they go to the mainland for school?
Most of them, the younger ones go over to there at the little school. They are in one class, but at different times. It's only one classroom, but the ages range from like 5 to 7. However, they do get a lot more one-on-one time because there's 3 or 4 teachers divided by 13 to 15 students. Most of them do go Forest Heights and CAMS over on the mainland. I know there have been quite a few very skilled and successful doctors come out of that school.
Our school down here at the time did not prepare us completely for the school in Chester. Like, for example, we didn't take elementary or French or anything like that there, so it took a while to catch up and those sort of things. But university, I always liked traveling to the city. Sometimes used to go in and used to go down to the bars. One young girl here is actually taking welding and machine shop, and there's more, I think, opportunities in the trade.
What's transportation like here?
Either by 4-wheeler, the odd golf cart, or a truck held together by chicken wire, essentially.
Do you guys have to follow the same laws?
Kind of, even though you do not have to drive insured, registered vehicles here on the right here on the island.
I've seen some wanted posters around, but
On the
that's
island?
on the mainland.
Oh.
They're near the Legion. They're all faded now, but there was one, I think, for a guy that temporarily lived on the island. But I think he's gone now, so. And I don't think it was committed here.
The police actually have a little building that they keep a cruiser in. They'll come down once in a while in their boat and come down and tie up to the wharf and take a drive around or whatever like that there, and then usually leave just to show their presence.
A weird question, but is like incest a thing here or not?
I feel like there may have been a case of it like 50, 60 years ago, but no, it's heavily frowned upon here.
Believe it or not, I mean, our population is like 160, I think, maybe 250 in the summertime, but there were almost like 1,000 people here at one point. Most of these houses, a lot of the houses had 2 families in them. One woman over there that just died, she was the oldest living. I think she died last year. She had 101. She was one of 21 kids.
There's not very many younger people. I think we have only one child that's younger than 5, but mostly people from 40 to 70.
There's always usually events going on. Our fire department puts on barbecues, and
We do have a pig roast once a year. Carolyn's restaurant, which is closed due to an injury, and Patrick's. So I think Patrick stays open a little later in the year for the Islanders, but Carolyn is summer for tourists.
there's a gallery museum. I'm not sure if you visited that over to the other end of the island.
Not yet.
No, that used to be our general store years ago.
What's your favorite spot here on the island?
Beach next to the wharf or Southeast Cove Beach.
If you would have been over to the other side of the island where the lab was, they do little tours of the lab, and they'll show you all the equipment that they put on the sharks, like for satellite fins. One of the great white sharks washed ashore up in the Bay of Fundy, I think a month or so ago. So he managed to get a group to go in and pick it up, and they took it to Dal and froze it, and I was with them. They did an autopsy onto it, so a bunch of the students from Dal were there while they did it and stuff like this here, and yeah, it was pretty interesting.
There's a shark research center that's being built. There's a few things over there at the school being built. And depending on how those go and how appealing they are to newer people, we could either see a boost in population and keep thriving, or eventually everyone's going to abandon the island.
Nigel Hussey, he's the one that has the lab started here he's got 3 grad students working here on the island now, and His home is actually on Little Tancook because he was trying to get a house here, but there was none available at the time. Nowadays, like a lot of people are looking for coastal waters. When COVID went on, a lot of people from Ontario and different places were looking for places here in the Maritimes. And now, since it was announced that we're getting a car ferry, has opened up the opportunities for people who want to live here in the island. You have to have your mainland vehicle, and you have to have your Tancook vehicles, and the roads aren't in very good shape right now, as you know. It costs so much to barge material here and stuff like that there, so it'll make it easier even if you want to work on the mainland. You can have a business here, and if you want your products be able to be trucked to the mainland, you can. So, you know, like you call up a well driller and the well driller can come down tomorrow, whereas in now you got to have 5 people to commit and have it barged here, add another $15,000 onto the cost to get it barged here, and yeah.
Would you like imagine yourself living here in the island?
Absolutely. It's very peaceful.
Just a very different way of life.
A lot less people walking around on their smartphones. Computer technology is very up to date here, but technology with automotive and moving things is a bit outdated.
A lot of people say, what's it like living here in the island? Are you permanent? Are you summer resident? I like to joke around with them because they usually sit there to the top of the hill or something and try to figure out where they're going. I always say to them, if you're looking for Tim Hortons, it's back that way. Or something.
Have you ever brought over any of your friends from the mainland to come here?
Yes, I have.
And what do they think?
They all liked it, besides one. He's not allowed back here anymore.
Oh, what happened?
He came up with the bright idea to bring baseball bats.
Oh.
And that's frowned upon, walking around 12 with baseball bats. So he's not allowed back here, but all the other ones were very nice. They all really enjoyed it.
Everybody's usually welcomed here. I had friends here, or people move here years ago, and they were a same-sex male couple, and they come down and they were looking for somewhere along the South Shore. They asked, you know, especially if you get to a small community, you don't know how you would be welcomed in. And I said, no, you would be welcomed here, because I think actually there were at the time 2 or 3 couples here already. There were same-sex couples, and they ended up moving, and I don't think they had any regrets.
Actually, just a few minutes ago, I had one of my friends break down, texted another girl on the island, came and pick him up. They're always looking out for everyone else in the community. We are all very fond of tourists here on the island. I can't say the same for Chester, but we all like having new faces around here. It's refreshing, because even though we're all nice to each other, it gets tired looking at the same faces every day.
We did have people here that had like summer homes because of COVID at the time, and now it's leveling off. And like I say, as soon as usually a property comes for sale here, it's usually bought up. Because like say, if you go around anywhere in Nova Scotia, right around the coast, and you want to build right along the ocean, it's very expensive.
Were there any cases of COVID on the island?
It did after a while. It was usually pretty good. After a while we did. Usually though, it was after quite a few of the people had vaccinations and stuff, so it did not hit that hard. To find out a few more things, you can go on Facebook, but Tancook has quite a few different groups, like for example, the new marine station that just started. They have the Tancook Island Marines Field Station, and it shows you everything that they're doing, like deploying all the shark trackers all around our bay. Yeah, and our community center has a Facebook group. You can go on Nova Scotia webcam. There's a webcam at Peggy's Cove. There's a webcam, I think, in Lunenburg, where you can see if the blue nose is there. Well, we're on Nova Scotia webcams here, and it's for protection for our boats and our wharf. It's kind of like a surveillance camera. Even a lot of seasonal people, when they're going home, they'll go on the webcam and look, and they can watch the lobster boats going and loading their traps and going and setting, and they can actually look and see, oh, my neighbor's has gone away today, and like, yeah.
That's cool.